I think I know most people here, but for those of you that don't know me, I am Frankie Rollins, and this is what experiments with writing craft because it's spring and we need something to zhuzh us up. And I'm Frankie Rollins. I'm the founder and coach of the Fifth Brain Collective, and I'm hosting this free webinar because spring is a time to shake off the dust and pay attention. I'm a writer of myths and modern fairy tales, along with some belly open nonfiction. And a couple years ago, I left academia to start this collective because writing is an act of joy and community and development. And I found that institutions got in the way of sustaining joy in a writing life. And what I want is joy. I published a book of stories called The Sin Eater and Other Stories, a metaphorical book called The Grief Manuscript, and most recently, a book called Do You Feel Like Writing? A Creative Guide to Artistic Confidence. And Kai, who's helping make the slides, designed this freaking gorgeous cover and actually the slides for tonight. And what in that book, I give you permission to write and urge you to trust your own fifth brain, which is really your deep intuition, your deepest writing self that's always speaking to you. And everything I do, teach, coach, talk about with writers and artists promotes the ideas that we are better, more whole, more powerful, and more energetic people when we allow ourselves to be creative. So why experiment with craft when we know how to make sentences and paragraphs and make the little black squiggles on the page say something? I'll tell you why. Because logic is not the only heart of the world. Because we want to access some othered state of your mind to free it from traditional goals and rules. There are ways that we fall asleep to the power and magic of the writing act. We want to air out our language and thinking. These exercises I'm offering you tonight are riffs from the Surrealist and Dada movement, along with general playfulness that I womped up. Writing is a form of energy, and we can put energy back into it any time we want, any old time. There's no hoop we have to go through. We just have to pick up a pen or start a document. So this workshop is more for mindset than generating a specific text, although allowing the unconscious into this play certainly might affect other texts. Some of what you write might look like poetry or rando lines or snippets, which is great. All language has the power to morph from one genre to another. We are the ones who make up tiny rules about whether that's a good or a bad thing, but the language doesn't care. So note, if something comes to you that doesn't relate to the prompt, for God's sake, follow that. This is what prompts are trying to do, get you going. If you need to get going in a different direction, awesome. At the heart of all my teaching, I'm trying to get you into the writing life inside of you. It's already there, but I'm just trying to nudge you back in there. Your writing won't look like mine or anybody else's. Totally cool. Writing brains don't look alike. If they did, only one of us would ever have to write a book, and the rest of us would be satisfied. That is such a funny idea. Every moment, be ready to abandon your intention for a piece and instead embrace what the writing is signaling to you. Let it be reckless and potentially sacred. Okay. If you want to access these slides later, you can use this QR code. We can also pop the link in the chat later, but we're going to do several prompts, starting them and abandoning them as we go. So make sure you get the slides in case you want to go back to the main idea of a prompt for any reason. So feel free. Okay. So this slide is just in case you don't have something you want to write about. I have suggestions as we go through, but if you want to have an idea or character in mind for this, it might be easier to just have something you're like, I'm really bothered about this one thing in my life, or I have this one moment that happened in midnight once in my life, or I'm just offering a woman enters a room and slams a door, or a young man weeps in a shaft of sunlight, or a nest is discovered, or someone puts on gloves, or lovers part at daybreak. Just something to put in your head, roll around. You might have brought an idea with you, but those are other ideas to help you get going. And you might not need these. And also, you don't have to write about the same thing in every prompt. I just wanted to let you have something in your mind, because sometimes people panic or seize up in a prompt, and it's not necessary. Doesn't matter. If you find you can't do anything, just go get a snack or something, or read a book, or put on some music. Okay. So our first prompt, we're just going to take 10 minutes for this, theoretically. This exercise reminds us that our very beings always provide material. So I want you first to take some time, and I'm going to walk you through this a little bit, but I'll be quiet after a minute. Name 7 attributes or pieces of clothing or qualities of personality that are essential and true about you. For me, I always have big earrings and big rings on. I have a ready smile. I have black clothes. I talk about writing. I like to listen. Those are my 7 attributes. Just take a few minutes. I'm going to put a timer on, and you can turn off your mic, and I'm going to give us 5 minutes for the first list. Go. And if you're working with a character, feel free to use this for a character too. Make sure to star the one that is the most essential thing. If it was taken away, you would no longer be you. Next, I want you to imagine another version. Replace all of those attributes with something that feels like its exact opposite. It can be wishful thinking. You can create a better model of you, although how could there be a better model than you? But of course, we have our dreams for ourselves. Or it could just be opposite day. You could imagine another person who is in your being, but looks totally different and cares about different things. What would those things be like? Go. And if you want to, you can pop any part of the real you or the fake you into the chat, or the thing that is most essential about you, if you want to. The chat usually in Fifth Brain Collective events is just a place where we put things we've written, ideas, talk to each other. It's an active place. Okay, warmed up. We're a little warmed up. Let's see what happens with our time. Okay, on to the next one. We're banding that one. That was just to think, just to get us in there. Next slide. Biography mash. This could be you or a character. So this exercise dislodges typical sense to shake us loose and warm us up. So 5 simple lines that name major events in your life or the life of a character. I just wrote 2 for the example here. Parents get divorced. She walks the Appalachian Trail. I have never walked the Appalachian Trail. I just came up with something. So first write 5 simple lines, then we'll walk through the next parts. Write down 5 simple lines of major events in your life or the life of a character. Do that, and then we'll just do that for 5. Okay, go. Okay, now we're gonna we're just playing with these sentences. We're just gonna mess them up. So now you could swap out the nouns. Take a couple and swap out nouns. And actually, I just added different nouns. So that's what I mean. You could swap nouns that you have, noun, person, place, or thing. You could swap nouns that you have, or you could swap out the nouns from previous ones and put in just totally different ones, things that come to you. Like, I don't know why lobotomies came to me for this example, but instead of parents get divorced, she walks the Appalachian Trail, I wrote parents get lobotomies, she walks the roofline. So just play with what you have. Go. Next, find the most interesting verb and add it to every sentence. Rewrite every sentence, maybe the original sentence, and add the same one verb to all of them and see what happens. So we're not looking for sense. We're looking for words doing their thing. And if anything pops up that's super interesting to you, feel free to throw it in the chat. Okay, now reverse the order of events in one sentence. Shed words as you need. Actually, reverse the order of events in any sentences, as many as you want. We'll go for another 3 minutes on that, just to see what happens. So I have roof lines walk, lobotomies, parent, which pleases me for no good reason. Ah, these are gorgeous. These are gorgeous. I'm so happy when an experiment goes well. I never know. Truth is. I'll read these in a minute and then we'll move on. And you can always come back and play with these later, write into them, see what emerges. I'm just going to read some of the ones that showed up in the chat. If you have a good one, throw it in there. She refuses a local tree. Her boyfriend publishes a tumor. She remembers sober. She becomes a hospital. Became cleaned of endings. She visits addiction. The ghosts relate. Hormones die. My father burns. The moon dies before life is welcomed with a needle. Tongs surprise them both, forcing her into this world. Breathes to remember. A brain tumor gets him. A book publishes her. My fishwife emigrates. Meditation travels. Voices are married. All triumph over the truth. Beginnings cleaned anew. A dream moves to them. I reconnect with talking and meet heaven. She tried to kill her teeth. A horse driving a covered wagon moved to a castle. Stops their living metal ganger. My jaw is playing gin rummy. How great is that? Woo! Okay. All right. We're not dead yet. Let's see what's next. Couldn't tell you. Okay. Paragraph tickle. This one's a little bit longer. And so this exercise reminds us that we can break a paragraph into parts to see what it holds. So write a paragraph or pull up a paragraph you've written if you have one. If you need to write a paragraph, just think 3 to 5 sentences. Write yourself or a character you have in mind in a moment of great distress or victory or something mundane like housework or a refusal to do housework. Thinking about you, Mom. And, or if you've got an image in mind, describe it in full with any visual sensory detail. The more vivid these are, the more interesting they are. We want vivid language to play with. Be specific. So do that first or find it first. And then those of you who have one, you can start moving into disassembling your paragraph, highlighting or pulling out the words that are most interesting to you. So you're either writing one or you're pulling out the words. And once you write one, pull out the words. I'll give you some time for that and then I'll chime in. Go. Okay, so I'm just going to say something about my example here. You keep going if you're going. In this paragraph I pulled out, there's a ghost of a grandmother watching her. She's a ghost and she's watching her granddaughter living in her house. And there's this one scene where the granddaughter cuts herself. And I've always been interested in this paragraph, and I didn't exactly know why, and I didn't fully know why it was there, but it's a story really about the grandmother can't vacate the house because she was really emotionally abused in the house and can't free herself from it. And so when I pulled out these words like slips, bone, linoleum, blood, dripping, pale, and murmuring, I could see that there's some violence in that inability, that there's violence in that entrapment that she was experiencing. But I didn't know that when I wrote the paragraph. So that's one part of it. We have some more things to play with here. But pulling out those words can, and this is a great tool if you're writing something and you're stuck and you don't understand what you've done with it. You can just highlight words that you like and look at them on their own, because you chose those words for a reason. I always believe your fifth brain knows what it's doing, your deepest writing self. You can trust it. And so looking at the words like this can teach us about what we're trying to say. So now you could do all of these things or one of these things, rearrange the order of the sentences. Maybe you reverse them. Maybe you begin with the middle sentence, mess around with them, see what emerges. Maybe you cut some out. So I just rearranged some. Or maybe you break each sentence in half and take the half that is most interesting. Like, I think this little set of sentences, she's murmuring, she's cutting, there's blood dripping, her face is pale, she's holding, is super, super interesting. Also, that last she's holding, the grandmother and the granddaughter are just trapped in this house holding. And then, or you could use some repetition of some of the interesting words and place them in multiples wherever. There's blood dripping, her face is pale, she's cutting the stems of artichokes, the knife slips, her face is pale, she sits on the couch, there's blood dripping, her face is pale, the knife slips, there's blood dripping. It's far more gruesome than I ever imagined, but of course it actually is when you look at the words and the sentences and play with it. We're going to take a little bit longer this time and do any one of these, or do as many as you have time for. You ready? Any questions? I should ask if anybody has any questions, for heaven's sake. Okay, go. An interesting line came up, or an interesting few lines. Pop them in the chat if you want to. Read some of the, I'm going to read these that are in here. Feel free to put more in as I go, because they are beautiful. Starting with, who steals my skin? She dissipates. Colleen holds her hand, keeping her body securely in this plane as her spirit soars. He murmured something to me, but I couldn't listen over the slow, pounding throb of deep time. I sit here resting, waiting in a silence that is unbound, 100 yards thick, and I am lost. Her senses are on high alert as she stands at the kitchen sink, her post, weary and broken, but with a smile tugging upwards towards chronically tired eyes, chronically pulling, chronically slicing, chronically tearing, chronically in pain. Reckless, young, and fluid on a sun-bleached deck, repeating the reason I feel so alive. Liquid, AI sketches unthinkable futures with unfiltered centipede rhythm. Setbacks, sketchbooks, journals, funerals on top of each other, next to each other, like tombstones stuck in time. We cannot open ourselves up to one another and show that we are human, we are parent, we are child, we are the roles we are meant to play, and nothing more. He's dying, it's baking, he's smelling. I'm back on Mission Beach, bawling on a sarong. Idiotic optimism. There wasn't enough vodka in San Diego. Little bottles from the liquor store. So many visits. Idiotic optimism. I won't need more. Now I'm good and drunk. I wander down to Belmont Park, or maybe up, I wonder. Back on the sarong. If I fall asleep here, a sand tractor could smoosh me in the morning. Idiotic optimism. She walked out into her garden. Blood was pouring out of her mouth and nostrils. They called an ambulance. Blood was pouring out of her mouth and nostrils. She died. Blood was pouring out of her mouth and nostrils. She collapsed. The ambulance reached the main highway. The feeling of being lost, unbearable, but we can. We have our own, the human condition sometimes. Heaving calm, her fists soften. She ceased. Blood, thick, metallic, everywhere, not mine, maybe mine, clinging, sheets, skin, a second skin, one I can't peel off, thighs sting, torn, trembling, not moving, not me, a sound, whimper, raw from somewhere in the room, buzz, buzz, too quiet, too loud, ceiling fan spins like nothing happened, breath ragged, sobs, not mine, I don't cry, I don't. Fingers clutch, mattress edge, anchor me back to body, body, a smear, red, wall. Was I trying to stay? Ceiling, counting cracks, counting cracks. If I stop, I remember, I can't, I won't, I don't. Fingertips scraped and bruised, low on skin, dots of purple seeping, reminding you touched the ancient coral, oh brave one. She gags. This process always made her gag and tastes a little bit of throw up in the back of her throat, and yet she repeats it. In exchange for dinners, she gets all her serious handyman work done and gets to be seen out with a younger man who is pretty good looking. If a 45-year-old Willem Dafoe and the eternally beautiful George Clooney merged and became a lanky, strung-out tropical gardener in a filthy, deteriorating white Hanes undershirt and giant, pale blue, knee-length polyester pants. A strange offering, gunk. Please smell my constraint because the terror lingers and I can only hang on for so long. I weep vaguely in a display that is ethereal and age inappropriate. My lover shimmers. The question dies. She still doesn't understand. Petals crush under her heels and she smells the sea. When the ceremony whispers, she faces her loved ones clutching a bouquet of tears. When their faces pass hers, the veil rustles. Ooh, so much beauty there. Thank you, people. Beautiful. Writing ain't messing around. You never know what's going to come. Ain't it true? Okay, let's see what's next. No idea. Ooh, okay. Anachronism. This is one of my favorites. This exercise reminds us that we can pop a character into any time period for fresh ways to see that character. Sorry about the typos. So here's my example. There's a Victorian in a rave. I imagine my great-grandmother. There's a Victorian in a rave. Never mind how she got there. She's there. She's in her petticoat and corset and heavy dress. She's received glow bracelets. She's rubbed Molly on her gums. Make it easy. She knows she's in another time, but what is she thinking? Who does she miss? If she thinks no practical, or she thinks no practical, ordinary thoughts, is she feeling her power? Is she remembering love? Is she tripping out on the lights? That's just an example. So take yourself, or a character, that should say or a character, and put them in another time, past, present, or future. See it in your head, let something arise. And I'm just thinking a few sentences, nothing major. Make some notes or write a few lines. Let this person in the wrong time wander around a little bit. See what they look at. See what they are amazed by. Okay, so might be you, might be someone from your ancestral history, might be a character you're working with in modern time and you stick them in an ancient time. This is mostly a mind exercise, but you can just take notes on what you're thinking about, okay? Go. Feel free to put a couple lines in the chat. Give you a couple more minutes. Beautiful work. Built for bodies. These bottles are recyclable, even the caps, especially the caps. Do you know how sweaty clasped hands get when they're not both yours? Get a map, make a choice, wander, okay, wonder, even better. Rest your eyes, okay, but we both know you belong in your hammock. Hummingbird underwater, struggles for air, fights, panics, chaos. A breath slips in. Again, a fish swims by, orange, fast, busy. Feathers rustle with the ripples. Accepting his fate, he breathes again. How much time does he have? He flaps, one wing, then the next. Again, briefly slicing through the water. Stop, float, again, flap, racing, darting, acclimating. He swims. John would not approve. She can feel him frowning across 125 years. She whirls and lets her skirts fly out, the music made with something she can't even understand, all the waving arms striking deep colors and searing swaths across the room. She rolls on. He knows he's doing the work coming here. He's dreaming, in a sense, committed to the ride, to the journey, repose in the practiced hands of his friend Denise. It is realer than he guessed it would be. He keeps breathing. Paul finds the future goggles the most interesting, not for the future making scenes, but for the colors, the vibrant colors that are not in his current world, his reality. Before she considers the consequences, she pushes a button. The blinding light diminishes, and she now looks out upon this new planet, mercifully cast in the backyard barbecue light of her childhood. I walked out into the new world that had been created, a world of sadness and hatred. Walls divided people. Whole regions were uninhabitable, wild, pocked with scars of war and destruction. Giant metallic creatures, unholy fusions of man and machine, ruled the outlands. The wars had destroyed it all. They had permanently divided the country into regions separated by fear and anger. No one mixes with anyone not of their race. No one knows anything beyond their regions. Insular, closed, devoid of curiosity, the cities and regions were places of perpetual grinding bitterness. So this is what our beautiful country had become, I thought. Marjorie's somewhere new. The stars are brighter. No, there are more of them. Navigate, she whispers to herself, taps into her personal device. Something is wrong with the tech. It's spooling, reloading, failing to find a connection. She's not yet disoriented, but getting there. The surveillance towers blink red through the smog, trying to read her, but she is too undocumented, too unbroken, too full of ghosts for their systems to understand. Inside the camps, she carries contraband, soft bread tucked warm in her bra, stories folded deep in her sleeves, and a rosary made of bones that clink softly when she moves. Mama Carmen does not pray with words. She prays with her back, bent like the branches of a tree that's weathered too many storms. She prays with her hands, rough, open, unafraid. She prays with the way she watches everything, the way she never looks away. And when the drones pass overhead, their shadows sweeping the ground like nets, she does not flinch. Icarus. He wonders about the skyscrapers. He wanders about the skyscrapers. He ends up in New York City. He hates it there. He stays away from Manhattan. He falls in love with someone on the train. They live in Manhattan. He moves to a small town in Connecticut. No labyrinths. He gets to feel the sun, but never has to worry about getting too close. He opens a coffee shop. He likes that the town is a walkable community. He tries to source ethically for his coffee beans. He finds it difficult. The astronaut lands 1,000 years earlier than she took off. Now what? Is that a dinosaur? How did that happen? It's one of those Dickens situations where the poor guy gets a break, but we, the readers, all know from jump that the deal is bad. He's being used, and he will, of course, end up back digging in a quarry or whatever. Before a time, he gets a taste of the good life. He wears tuxedos and top hats, takes warm baths with rose petals. He tries caviar and learns there's something called vodka way better than the homemade stuff the guys from the quarry make in the tool shed. And there's comedy for the reader in watching Bob not know how to behave among the rich Victorians. But because this is Dickens, we will laugh not at Bob, but at how snobbish and shitty Bob's presence shows the rich to be. And we will be rooting for him, even though we know he will never make it out of this situation on top. We can see it already. The final scene of the novel where he's back in the quarry watching Lady McMansion's carriage roll by as if she never even knew him. Wow. Some fantastic writing happening out there. People. But part of the reason I'm doing this in this overwhelming one after another timed way is to force you out of your normal habits of writing, to force you into thinking in different ways, accessing different parts of your brain. I know it's a little intense. We just needed this much time to really explore these things because perfectionism is the scourge of discovery. Intentionally disrupting the making sense part of our brain opens us to possibility. And I'm going to pause for a minute. We have one more that I want to do, and then there's one more like freebie for you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit. Yeah, it's fun to play, isn't it, Meg? That's the thing. This is why we ever wrote. This is why we ever wrote. When we first wrote or did something creative, we had a feeling of like connection between ourselves and our imagination and ourselves and our ideas, which is unbreakable. You can always return to it, but it's so easy to get psyched out. We're, oh, like all these people, oh, they all published books. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to finish this, or I'm never going to, which is just crazy talk. If they didn't ask permission, all these people, we don't have to either. We can always find more play. All right, let's go. This ride ain't over yet. Okay. Origins of themes. We all have themes. We all have themes. So this exercise reminds us of core ideas we want to write about and connects them to our pasts as a path to discovery. So first, I want you to write down a list of 7 themes, things you always think about. I also call them the heart of a text. If you write and you find yourself always returning to similar ideas again and again in your writing, those are your themes. We may add to them over time. We may resolve some of them, but often they're just the things we're thinking about always. For example, some of mine are grief, feminism, lost love, friendship, rebirth, fury, absence. And so once you make that list, and we'll just do this in a chunk of time, once you make this list, and we'll probably do it more like 15 minutes, then I want you to go and write a sentence for each of these, naming the very first memory or image that comes up when you say that word. Like when I say the word grief, the first memory of grief. And just write that sentence down. So the earliest memory of that topic, just scribble down whatever you remember. Any questions? Okay, go. And feel free to put any lines or moments in the chat. I'm going to read these to us and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, reading, books, libraries, getting books from my school library and going to the town's library with my father. About loss of love, I am unsure if we experience new heartbreak or if we just experience echoes of that first fissure. On light, midday light through the upstairs floor-to-ceiling windows, soaking into the white carpet, realizing there's enough light to fill the whole world. The nature of reality 17 years old, talking with my cousin Charles. From Christine, the suffering that precedes death is a loud reminder that it's okay to die. About the idea of utopias, do queer people get to dream of a utopia? Do we get to see a world without that harassment? Those dreams feel too untethered to ever belong or be caged inside my brain. The body as evidence. I was 7 when someone laughed at how my thighs touched, so I learned to cross my legs and hide my hunger, wondering which parts of me would ever be allowed to stay. Women who carry the world. I saw my mother scrubbing grout with a toothbrush, singing under her breath while her back ached. It looked like devotion, like surrender, like magic no one ever thanked. Hope beneath the rubble. Even in the worst winter, I remember a single candle we weren't supposed to light, but we did. And for a moment, the room glowed like something holy had survived. Health, a heavy veil, like a curtain as dense as an elephant, closing on my brain while the world around me claps like an audience demanding an encore. Grief, I am under the bed, back as far against the wall as I can get, screaming. My grandparents are on their knees. They can't reach me. I scream in their faces, unable to stop. I want to live long enough to see the trajectory of my grandchildren's lives. Growth, the flowers, the garlic, the dill, recalling a Word document with aspirations. I want tattoos. I want a garden. My Palestinian heritage, as a baby held by my grandmother, as a toddler loving the music of her Arabic lilting English. Depression, the first time I couldn't do my homework in high school because I was too distracted and felt like I had another voice in my head. Trembling agency, looking out the window of the car, seeing the world through a particle microscope, watching the unfoldment of events in its utter complexity. One of my topics was abundance. This memory totally came out of some buried depth of my being and surprised me. My first purse, late 5th grade. I loved it and wanted to carry it, but it was embarrassing. It was like a flashing billboard saying I had started my period and needed to carry the supplies, but I also had a wallet in it with money, and I liked that. I felt strong and independent. Unity. We held hands in a circle, our after-school sweaty hands, small fingers interlacing each other's, some hands with leftover magic marker, green, pink, yellow stained and bitten nails. Together we felt the hesitation, then the warmth. We stared at each other with leotards cut off at the ankles, barefooted. Time to let go now and choose a scarf to take turns watching each other dance. In elementary school, watching classmates doodle in the notebook, I was so confused. This was not assigned. Teacher will be mad. I'm jealous. I don't know how to play. Where do the doodles come from? To what purpose? What do they mean? I had the realization that not all things need to have a meaning, a grade, immediate purpose. They can just exist. I had to teach myself to doodle. I had to practice play. No one taught me that. Why should they? I've taught myself play over the years. It's still work. Beautiful, beautiful. What a bounty of brains we have had this evening. Thank you so much for sharing these ideas with us and for putting them in the chat. I know it's unnerving, but also fun. I'm just going to go through these last slides and just talk a little bit about what I do. There is a syntax slide that you can play with standard written English. I actually say it fucks with standard written English, empowering us to own our own tools of writing. So you might later play with that. Sentences are visual objects that we're used to. That's why we write in standard written English, because people are expecting a certain visual object. but this is just encouraging you to play with them. One thing is, I've had an online free class on creativity that has more prompts. Whoops. Whoops. Why you gotta be so crazy, computer? No, I went too far. So there's another, and you can download this. There's another QR code, and that one just has some more prompts and some more ways to play and be in touch with your writing selves. I never, ever want, that's why when I started this business, I had a book, a free class, and my other offerings, because when I was a young writer, I couldn't afford so many things. I couldn't afford really, honestly, anything. And so I wanted to make sure that there are always free things available to you if you need to write. And one of those, I'll show you another thing in a moment. But just so you know, we've just moved, this was on a different site and we've just moved it into Squarespace. So it's cooler. It's in a cooler space now. Let's see if it'll let me turn the page. Turn the page. Okay. Oh, now it wants to turn all the pages. This is just to remind you, I do coaching and I have packages. Let's say you just have one little story you want to work on and you want somebody to spend a month working on it with you. There's a package for that. And I create prompts for you, but you would also have emails available. I have Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie app that people talk on me with when they're like some ideas brewing in them. But there's also bigger packages. So let's say you have a bigger thing that you want to work on. There's just different packages there that you can look at. And that is some of the greatest work of my lifetime. I feel like I made a little boat and I'm cruising along in the ocean on my little handmade boat with its janky sails made out of old clothes and stuff. And then other people bring their boats up to mine and I get in their boat and I help them out for a while and then they sail off. The whole goal is that you can sail off and do your own writing. But also, Fruit Cup is a little beloved free writing sprint we have every Thursday night. There's many people in this room who come to that. And it's 5 to 6 Mountain Time. It's just an hour. We get on, we write on Zoom for an hour. Nobody talks, we just do it. And then there's an extra hour afterwards. If you want to stay, people just talk about writing. We just talk about what experience they had. Maybe they share. But again, another free thing because I just want you to be attached to your writing. I want you to have what you need to get your writing done. And then I have a list of upcoming events. So I just wanted to let you know that this is a love movement that I'm trying to start where I just serve writers and get you writing. It's just my deepest goal in life is to make sure that people are writing because we need all of your perspectives and imaginations and experiences more now in this moment in time than ever. And I really believe that each of your voices is one of the ways that the world can move forward. So get in touch. Oh, and I have a free consult. If you just want to talk to me, another free offering. If you just want to talk to me for an hour about your writing and get some ideas, I can help you come up with a roadmap how to go forward. I love that. It's a very joyous occasion. We talk about your history of writing. We talk about your dreams for writing. And that is on there. It's on my site. All the stuff is on my site, fifthbraincollective.com. That is all I have for this evening. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye or say hello. Oh, there were some more things. Wait, there were some more things. Oh, there are links. There are links. Oh, yes. And I have a Substack. I have a new Substack, which is called Write from Your Fifth Brain. And I muse on this kind of thing. This is me. It's like me doing this. Oh, one more thing I didn't mention is we have a membership every week where there's a creative membership where you can get online with a group of other writers who are in the membership. And we always do this kind of thing where I give you prompts and everybody writes and then they share, because I really believe that conversation is one of the ways we keep our writing alive. It's really a key point. Thank you so much, Frankie, for reminding me about that Substack. Thank you, all of you, for staying with me for 2 hours and letting me push it through the ringer. So proud of you. Way to go.